first, today's biggest story. US President Joe Biden has done his first proper press conference in, well, forever. The start was delayed, though, after this occurred just beforehand to wrap up a NATO meeting.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
For those at the back who didn't quite hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Can you imagine the panic stations? Jill would have been beside herself. But up he got, albeit half an hour late, to, well, make another absolute clanger.
What concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president because I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
Now, there's so much more, but before we go on, can we please just take a moment to go back in time just a little bit? The 16th of September 2021, when this occurred. Do you remember? Look.
Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal.
Now, a lot of media here jumped on this, of course. We were probably guilty of it as well, I guess. Of course, the agenda of humiliating our then Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Now, the insinuation that he was such a nobody that he wasn't worthy of being remembered by Biden. And yes, it was a good laugh, but I'd like to take this opportunity to apologise to our former PM. We all realise now it was never you, it was him. But back to today, and let me be honest, because I like to be, Biden was a little bit better this morning than he was at the debate. And yes, I'm including the fact that he called Zelensky Putin and Kamala Harris Donald Trump. Some of what he said, some made a tiny bit of sense, some less so.
I hadn't inherited what I did, and we just moved things along. Anyway, it wasn't about just, read what his objective is. And anyway, let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway, for that. Anyway.
And some of what he said and the way he said it was, I don't know how else to put this, downright creepy.
When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better. And we talk about how, for example, when I went, but they add things all the time at the very end. It's not going to happen. No one's saying that.
I'm not laughing at his cognitive decline, but the whispering is utterly bizarre. And look, some of what he said was insightful and horrifying at the same time.
And so our military is working. I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people.
He is the commander-in-chief who is running the country. I actually don't think that was a gaffe. I reckon that was one of the few moments of pure honesty. Jill, is it you? Well, she got a mention as well, of course, as those pesky staffers.
I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife.
And after dodging multiple questions regarding his health, he finally addressed the elephant in the room. Well, kind of.
I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recent as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good.
And as for his parting words, so the last thing he said.
Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
Listen to him. Probably the strangest directive regarding an opponent in a presidential campaign I've seen ever. Will it work? Suspect not, but gosh, it will be fun and, yes, fraught, to be frank, finding out.